Mm-mm-mm. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody is doing great. Just waiting for a couple people to join the live. Welcome, welcome. It's nice out here today. How's everybody doing on this beautiful day? I don't know if you guys have already, but you guys need to go check out Rideshare Professor. He definitely posted a video about the CEOs, I think, of Lyft. And it looks like they are losing their high position, which is good because I'm just hoping that they are replaced with someone who is caring, who actually cares and values the drivers that make them rich. So I'm just hoping that everything, gets better for the drivers since they went ahead and got rid of those horrible CEOs because they didn't deserve that position at all. And I really hope that whoever they replace them with can fix the damage that has been caused. They definitely need to do something about these rate cards. And it's so crazy when it comes to these rate cards. I really want to know who is responsible. Who is making these rate cards? You know, even though, Lyft claims that they don't go off the rate cards anymore, I still want to know who is responsible because they're lying. They do go off of rate cards. They just go off of rate cards to a certain extent and drop the value lower and call it an upfront pricing. But they're still using the rate card and just, taking more out of what they're giving their drivers and calling it an upfront pricing, which is, still ridiculous. But I would love to know who is regulating how much somebody is worth with these rate cards because that 11 cents a minute, it's literally insulting. It's insulting, you know. Especially when you go to ask the passenger, how much did you pay for the ride? And they give you this ridiculous amount and you're making pennies out of what they paid Lyft and Uber. And it's so crazy because like I definitely look on Reddit, and you'll have people on Reddit saying, well, I would love to drive for $20 for a 30-minute ride because you're making more than somebody else, when technically that's not the truth. Even if the ride is $20, even if you think that a driver is making $20 an hour because they were paid $20 for a 30-minute ride, does not it really does not mean that they profit $20. But some people look down on rideshare drivers. They believe that you don't even deserve $15 an hour, which is sick to me, because at the end of the day they don't understand what people have to sacrifice to do this type of work. So it just baffles me. Because it should be no reason that people at McDonald's are making more than a rideshare driver. It should be no reason why somebody at a fast food chain can make more than a rideshare driver who pays for gas in their car and, other things just to stay on the platform. And then the stuff that people have to deal with, the safety not being the top priority for drivers is enough. People don't understand how dangerous this job can definitely be. Even though it's not a job, it's a gig. But still, people don't understand what people risk doing this type of gig, because they don't have no job that they can go to tomorrow that will pay them the same day. They can't wait a week to get paid. I mean, it's all kind of reasons why people do rideshare. But that doesn't mean that they don't deserve what they're worth. But I definitely have been seeing that Uber seems like they're getting worse than Lyft at this point, especially in markets who don't see the upfront pricing. They're really getting over on those people who can't see where they're dropping people off at, how much the ride's going to be worth. I mean, I've seen people being sent 15 minutes out of the way for $3. That's a free ride. Nobody should be doing free rides with rideshare unless you say, hey, I want to do a good deed today. Let me give somebody a free ride. Other than that, this is not free. Your car isn't free. Your time isn't free, you know? And time is valuable. The amount of time you're spending on making them rich, it could have been time used to make yourself rich. To new things to do to make you more money than Lyft and Uber. But instead, some people feel like they don't, they can't do any better than what they're doing right now. So they're putting all this time in and they're not profiting what they should be profiting. So it's like you're wasting your time. When some of that time you wasted, it could have been, used for a plan, used for a business plan, used for, finding a career that's going to pay you what you deserve to make. But instead, we're spending hours on Uber and Lyft, and you can't even make $100 in 5 hours. I've even seen people on Reddit, saying, "Wow, you make $100 in an hour. I can't even make $100 in six." And it's like, it baffles me. It's like, wow, to see somebody, complaining about not making $100 in 6 hours, just to turn around and see somebody complain about not making $100 in even more time they spent on the road, is just sad to see that. I mean, I don't even really look at it complain. I look at it as a problem, because nobody should be driving for 6 hours and making $100, but the $100 is not even their profit. At the end of the day, they're not going home with $100 after those 6 hours. Once they take out expenses, that's definitely not $100. And some people, making it seem like that person who made that $100 in 6 hours, oh, that's better than me. And it's like both of you guys are in a bad situation, and both of you guys shouldn't even be out here putting 6 hours worth of your time for $100, and that's still not even your profit. It's just no. There is nothing that you can say that can basically, you know, be okay and make the situation okay. It's not okay. I mean, at this point, you better off working at a warehouse. You'll make more than $100 in 6 hours. Shoot, McDonald's. I mean, come on now. Even at $12 an hour, even when you paying for taxes, you're still profiting more than a ride share driver, and that's not okay. And yet they're still making it harder for passengers to get rides. Passengers are waiting over an hour for a ride. And then they wait an hour and they get, an Uber driver or Lyft driver, and they get canceled on because it's not worth their time. So it's just crazy. I just don't understand how long it's going to continue to go on. And it shouldn't continue any longer. But, a lot of people have said, it's a lot of drivers that are okay with it. And it's sad that people don't value their time enough. They think that, okay, I'm gonna take the pennies. Is at least it's money. Like, I just don't understand. I really don't. At this point, especially if you're doing Uber and you can't see where you're going or who you like, where you're taking somebody or how much money you're going to make off the ride, you need to call that passenger and ask them how much they paid for their ride before you even go to them. You need to make sure that that ride is not going to be a $3 ride on your end, because it's going to save you time and frustration before you go out your way to pick somebody up to give them a free ride. And some passengers will let you know, like, look, I understand, I'll give you a tip. I remember the one day I went and I picked somebody up, but before I picked them up on Uber, I told them, I'm like, look, how much is your ride? And she was like $15, and I let her know, like, your ride is really not worth it. Like, I'll probably see about $5 out of that ride, or $6 if I'm lucky, because Uber is taking over 50%. So the lady basically told me, like, look, me and my daughter have to get, home. I'll give you a tip. And I told her, like, I don't drive for tips, but I will take you because you do have a child. And I understand. I don't want to leave you stranded. So I took her. And I mean, this lady blessed me. She gave me almost $100 for the trip. Now, imagine if I never called her and told her, how much Uber is taking out of the ride and why I didn't want to take the ride. I probably would have went there, got whatever, the ride was worth, probably about $5-6 with no tip. But because I let her know, like, they're taking too much. They're taking more than, what they are worth. They're overpricing these rides and not even giving us 50%. So because I let her know what's going on, she understood, and I didn't do it because I wanted a tip. Because, like I said, I don't drive for tips. I don't think that a passenger should have to tip if they're paying me what I'm worth for the ride. It shouldn't be no reason why I need a tip. But because Uber and Lyft decide to take over 50%, sometimes 70, 80 or more, now you have to. I mean, some people are expecting a tip. And I understand. But, you shouldn't have to drive for no tip at all. I've never drove for no tip when I started rideshare. Never needed to until it started. And I mean, even when it got bad, I never, focused on a tip. A tip was just an extra blessing to me, Even $1, that was just an extra blessing to me. I valued that. But I didn't do it for that dollar. I didn't do it for that extra tip. I did it because I thought I was going to be paid what I was worth once the ride got done, until I started seeing how much they continued to take and take and take. So now it's like to the point where, now you're really not making enough money to even, continue to run your vehicle to the ground. And they're investing in all these, these self-driving cars, like that's going to save the day. When we know and the passengers know that, I really feel like that will be the end of Lyft and Uber when they try to, really push this self-driving vehicle, because they're so greedy, so selfish. They want to turn on the ones, I mean, like I keep on saying, the drivers are the reason there is a Uber and Lyft. If they, I mean, delivery, all that, Instacart, Uber Eats, all that. If they didn't have drivers, they would be nothing. How would they make money if they didn't have the people to help make the money for them? So for them to go from, oh, we're going to pay them what they're worth, to, oh, not only are we going to stop paying them what they're worth, but we're going to also invest into things to replace them. What, I mean, that right there is sick. For you to turn on the main reason why you're rich. Turn on the people that brought you to where you're at and try to replace them. The audacity. And I really feel like, it would be nice if every driver agreed to, I'm done. Let me be all. I mean, if every driver was to turn off the app for a couple of days, they wouldn't be in business. They would have to pay you what you're worth. They would have to give you these big bonus zones because they wouldn't make no money. But I know, that's not going to happen, because we have people who just are like, they'll be the first one to say, okay, go ahead, do a strike, turn off your app, and I'll go make all the money. But little do they know, if we get enough people to turn off this app, yeah, you can go out here and make all this money and go pick up everybody, but it's still going to make you, I mean, it's still not going to help you in the long run, because if you're the only driver, or if it's only a couple drivers on the road that's picking up this money, it's still not enough. I mean, it's still not enough drivers to pick up every passenger. But the whole problem is getting enough drivers to say, I'm done, I'm choosing me first. But I know for a fact that, if it does get there, Lyft and Uber, they would not be able to continue running their business if we were just to be like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not. And it's really not hard to choose yourself first. Even if you have to find you a full-time job to help you make up the money that you're going to be missing doing rideshare. Even if you have to plan out getting you a job so that you can, go days without making them rich. You're still choosing yourself over them. You're still making, things better, because I really feel like that will make things better when drivers decide to not continue to help these companies get rich off of their time, their car, their gas. But like the title says, you guys are not worth 11 cents a minute. That right there, it should be illegal. It should be illegal to tell anybody that they're worth 11 cents a minute in their vehicle, and not put gas in their car, and not provide a vehicle. I could see if they were providing you guys a vehicle, putting gas in your car, covering expenses, but they're not doing none of that. Hello, Leash. How's it going? And what's so crazy? Every market is different. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows that every market is different. So when you see somebody going through something and speaking up about it, when they're in a whole complete different market than you, and you're not experiencing what they're experiencing, you shouldn't talk down on them. You shouldn't try to make it seem like, oh, they're just complaining, and because it's not happening for you. It doesn't work that way. Because if one person is hurting, eventually you will be hurting as well. And if you was in their shoes, you would want to be heard, right? Lyft and Uber is dangerous as it's ever been for the crappy pay, and it's not worth it. Exactly, Alfredo. I am in fight with you for overall better work environment for rideshare drivers. Thank you, Alish. Exactly. It's too dangerous at this point. And nobody should not be able to make it home after a ride. And I mean, honestly, these gift cards that they came out with, it's real. I really feel like that is another play into a lot of people getting carjacked and murdered. But let alone, they never cared about your safety, because if they did, the first person who was robbed or murdered, they would have automatically did what they could. Did anything that they could do to make sure it doesn't happen again. And what have they done? They haven't done nothing but continue to let people get on these apps with fake names, no photos, carjack, and murder their drivers, and continue to be in business. I mean, I've seen gas stations close down, get shut down after somebody is murdered in their parking lot. Not in the store, the parking lot. But Lyft and Uber continues to run a business where they're allowing their passengers to be fraudulent and murder their drivers. Carjack their driver. I just read something on Reddit the other day where somebody was a driver. I don't know if it was Uber or Lyft, but they were picking up a passenger who was in a domestic violence dispute, and the lady got in a car, and whoever they was, in a dispute with came and started stabbing the driver because his window was down. They started stabbing the driver. Literally trying to kill the driver and stabbing the person who they were arguing with. But all Lyft and Uber can say is, oh, we're going to continue to investigate and work with authorities. No, you need to do more than just investigate. You need to do way more than just investigate. And then I'm wondering, when people get their cars jacked and that are robbed, what are they doing? Do they deactivate you after that? Because I know they deactivate you if you're in an accident that is not your fault. And they expect you to make this $2,500 deductible when they know dang well that they're not even paying their drivers enough to even make that deductible. I always feel an intense pressure on my neck when I'm driving late night. Wonder if someone is going to stab me in my neck. See, exactly, Alish. But you know what? You are protected. You are protected. Don't even worry about it. But it's sad that you even have to think about it. That's my thing. Having to even think about, is your life going to be at risk because you decide to take somebody where they need to be, and then on top of that, the ride is not even worth it. You're being underpaid to lose your life. To be carjacked. You're being underpaid for it. People are being paid pennies before they die. And half the time, they're probably not even paid if they're carjacked or murdered during a ride and didn't end the ride. They're probably not even paid for it. Like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand how long Lyft and Uber will be able to get away with putting safety not even last. Definitely not first, but it seems like it's not even a thought to them. If it seems like they don't even care if their driver makes it home or not. As long as their pockets are being filled, as long as they're billionaires and making all this money, they could care less about their driver's life, because you're just a number. They can easily replace you with a new driver that doesn't even understand what's going on when they join rideshare. A lot of new drivers don't understand what they're putting, the risk of being a rideshare driver. They look at it like, oh, they get paid every day. Oh, I can get paid instantly after every ride. Oh, that's cool. Because unfortunately in America, you gotta slave and wait a whole week or two, or sometimes a month, just to make some money. Which is ridiculous to me. People work their whole life and still have to wait for a check. So, of course, people would want to do ride share. But, I mean, honestly, you're safer working at McDonald's than to be picking up strangers. And you're making more money at McDonald's. And that's crazy. I would never have thought in my mind. I'm 27 years. I would never have thought that a McDonald's employee can make more than somebody using their vehicle and paying for gas in their car to drive people around. I mean, I saw a ride for like 2 hours, and I think they were paying. I think they were paying about $18 for a 2 hour ride. I don't know if it was a ride or delivery. Either or, that is slave work. 2 hours for $18? It's sad. It's really sad to see that they are getting away with this type of inhumane service. And then I've seen people say, well, Uber and Lyft, they don't have to pay you anything. Oh, I know one thing for sure. We are not supposed to be working for free at all. Nobody. So for people to even say, oh, they don't have to, I know if Uber and Lyft decide to not pay their drivers nothing, that will be the day that they really don't become a business. Even though they're already headed that way, even though they already are technically, basically paying you close to nothing. But for people to feel like that's okay and to throw that in people's faces that work hard to make a living off Lyft and Uber that could barely live. And then, and to me, it's usually the people who have like a part-time job that do this. And it's like a lot of people that are full-time drivers came from being a part-time worker. Trust me, everybody didn't just start Lyft and Uber full-time. A lot of people worked and did Lyft and Uber part-time until they lost their job. And they noticed that you can't just get a job overnight. Everybody doesn't have an opportunity to just get a job overnight. But you're telling me, oh, they need to do something else. If it was that easy to just jump up and do something else and get paid good for doing something else, I think everybody would be doing that. I think Uber and Lyft wouldn't be a thing if it was that easy. But that does not make it okay for these drivers, any driver, to not be making what they're worth. If Lyft and Uber couldn't afford their drivers, why are they continuing to hire new ones? If they couldn't afford their drivers, why would you allow more people on your platform if you cannot pay the people who have been doing this work for over a year? Keeping close to 5-star ratings, keeping a decent vehicle, giving out great customer service or decent customer service, because I've heard of worse customer service than decent. I mean, I'm told that it's drivers on the road that are just driving ridiculously crazy. New drivers. But you want to fire a vet that's been on this platform for 5-8 years and pay them pennies just to hire somebody that's going to be deactivated next week because they smoking weed in their car. They getting high before they pick up a passenger. But then the ones who ain't doing drugs, the ones who's not drinking and driving, are being falsely accused by your scandalous, scamming, fraudulent passengers who don't care because they're looking at it like, oh, we can get a free ride. Why are you guys giving these people free rides if they don't have proof? But you know, I mean, what can you expect from a company who profits, who only cares about a profit, compared to making sure that their drivers are taken care of, knowing that they are nothing without them? Knowing. They know this. Yeah, Uber and Lyft are dumb as fuck with it. Exactly, Ransom. Exactly. They're idiots. And that's why I'm so happy to see that Lyft decided to drop those CEOs, hoping that they replace them with somebody who can actually understand and try to do better when it comes to their drivers. I mean, whoever runs these rideshare companies need to go out here and do this work. They need to go out here for a whole month in every market, a whole month. And see how it feels to live off of rideshare money, to do this full time. Because anybody part time doing this can automatically become a full time driver in today's market. Because jobs are easy. I mean, anybody can lose a job in less than a day. So they need to come out here and put this work in. So they can see why drivers are tired of this. It's just sad, you know? I mean, the person that owns Uber definitely needs to go out here and do the work. I mean, it's sick to see that, every market is not being paid fair.